Alright guys, TacticalRab here, and today hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. What a day of Call of Duty, what a tournament, and what a time to be a fan of competitive COD. Absolutely popping off today, the storyline's out of control, a champion has been crowned. So much to dive into today, the implications for the future as well. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I greatly appreciate it. Just about to hit 95,000 subs as well, so if we could do that tonight, that would be absolutely fantastic. But so much to discuss today, of course, challenges was going on as well. Doug Sentamato was making a nice run to top 3, I believe, in the ends. We'll discuss everything in more detail, of course, tomorrow in terms of the implications on the challenger side and elsewhere. But man, what a day. And also going into the day, I thought it was kind of funny that OpTic, their team kill numbers are out of control. They pretty much had more team kills than the entire rest of the league combined. Ghosty was topping the numbers. Seems like a pretty smart way of Ghosty and co being able to stop Shotzzy going rogue so often is just nade him whenever he's going to go a little bit too rogue. The trophy was also revealed here before the day began during that first series between Toronto and FaZe, which was an absolute banger, right? And look, I talked about the script earlier today, what I thought it might well be, and I felt like Toronto were going to have something against FaZe in this series, right? Because that search record of FaZe's was eventually going to come to an end. But after they won the game 1 and went up 2-0 in the search, I thought, damn, here are FaZe Championship Sunday, they're going to do it again. But Ultra, they held their nerve. They came back in the search and destroy. They didn't lose an S&D, I believe, this tournament up until the time the finals came around, and we'll obviously talk about that in a few minutes' time. But, you know, FaZe went up 2-0. They ended up losing, I think, 6 of the next 7 rounds here. Ultra broke the S&D streak, I think 15 streak in the ends, which was absolutely incredible. And I mean, look, that's the record. That's going to be incredibly hard to top, and I'm mind blown, honestly, that it survived this long as it did. But Ultra finally snap it. They challenge on Elasilo, they get the job done, and then that's where Ultra is so competitive in that control and on the game 4 as well. And honestly, the game 4 was insane, right? FaZe are going to have nightmares of this particular hardpoint. Reminds me, I don't know if you guys think the same of Tuscan last year. You guys remember Tuscan P1? FaZe would lose so many games on Tuscan P1, and it seems the same for this hardpoint, I think P4, whatever it is here over on Mikado, that they get into these situations and again they lose out in these predicaments. And FaZe, I mean, it went down to the wire. Hicksy was making absolute plays here, honestly. Like, he went off in this series, did such a good job, and the control went their way. This hardpoint they clutched up as well, and FaZe dropped down to the losers bracket. Scrappy was hyped, the entire team was obviously loving it, and I mean, yeah, remarkable stuff to think about that in the CDL era. Now Scrappy and Hicksy add their names to the list. Of course, Ghosty joined them shortly after in terms of rookie grand final appearances in the CDL era, and these are some of those names. Definitely proving as well, Ultra, that they made the right call in terms of the roster change they decided to make. And looking at these numbers, you would not think this series went 3-1 to Toronto, but I think it was the control where they got outslayed so hard. Inside had 47 kills for a 3-1 win. Like, that's got to be some sort of a record, to be honest, in terms of low kill count for the victory. He didn't really do much this series, but still they got the job done. They won the control, getting outslayed, kind of like an LA Thieves scoreline in a way. And Cell and Simp both have 1.3s almost, and they still lose the series. So they go down. Pretty rare for them to lose in that type of situation. And of course, with Hicksy and Ghosty getting to the grand finals, that means that one of those two was going to actually break the duck of 12 years since a rookie has won their first ever event competing, and we'll find out who it is here in a second. But then it was time for the OpTic series, right? And they came out swinging in this series just as they did in their final game of yesterday, right? I wondered, I mean, this was absolutely insane. This set the tone, honestly, from Dashy right at the start of this run they made in the losers bracket here, because getting 1, 2, 3, and then running out of bullets and going for the knife on the final one was absolutely insane to get the 4Ps. And they went, I mean, what, 200 to like 40 this game was at some point. Eventually, Boston held about 50 seconds and got to at least a respectable scoreline. But on Fortress, they got bodied 250 to like 90, and straight away OpTic came out the blocks absolutely firing, and that was just the story of their day, to be honest, the story of their entire losers bracket run. The SMGs were on point, Dashy was making plays, Ghosty doing his thing as well, and when that's happening and with the crowd behind them, this team was elevated to a new level, right? And as Octane even mentioned at the time, this is some losers bracket fire. It happens. Octane and Thieves had it last tourney, and this time it was OpTic in front of their home crowd willing them on. It actually reminded me quite a lot of, I don't know if you guys were at this event, but CWL Birmingham 2018. It was the first event I actually went to, and that tournament, Splice, it was the team of Madcat, Bance, JoeDeceives, and Tommy, of course, and they were making a crazy run. They played Rise on main stage, and the crowd, of course, was in the UK, so they had the crowd support, and they played some of the best COD. Like, it was pure flow state stuff. They played some of the best COD I've ever seen. Rise were a great team at the time. They chucked him in the 50-point club game 1. They like 6-0'd him in the search. Like, it was mesmerizing how the crowd was lifting them to levels of Call of Duty that I've never seen played live before or since. But OpTic were in a similar boat here. Like, they were just in this flow state where everything was working for them, and they were just like so many levels above where they needed to be to win this series. And I know Parasite here was kind of clowning on. I know that Aches made this take a little bit ago that, Ghosty was holding back Dashy. Didn't seem to be the case based on the evidence of today. However, the old tendencies of OpTic were creeping in. This 1v3 they threw away here to Vivid was not optimal at all, especially the way this went down. Okay, 1v2, Vivid gets the first kill on Shotzzy, then for some reason Huke decides to overchal here and gives the opportunity up for him to clutch the 1 versus 1 Vivid. Huke's behind this pillar. All he has to do really is just stay down. Ghosty's coming for the support. He peeks out to go for the chal, and it gives just enough time for Vivid to get into cover and get the final kill on Ghosty. So still mistakes creeping into OpTic's gameplay. It's always going to be there. They're always going to not be a 100% disciplines, but they don't need to be if they can just slay the other team off the face of the earth. Thought it was phenomenal as well. During this series, there was a proposal that happened mid-series going forwards and in front of the crowd on the live stream. I just thought it was awesome for these two. So congratulations to not just the champions of the day, but also to these two. I thought that was such a cool moment of the day as well. And then we got this, which is one of my favorite tweets, to be honest. A heat map of Shotzzy versus Boston on the aBeZy control. Finally, in the control, they started to show some life here OpTic Gaming, and it was largely Shotzzy behind it. Shotzzy played on an unbelievable level today, especially in these first couple of series. I couldn't believe my eyes. The type of stuff here that Shotzzy was pulling off, and Dashy came out strong right at the start of the Mikado hardpoint, and they eventually win this map, take it 3-1 in front of the crowd. And obviously Beans was kind of giving the ears to them right before the series began, so the crowd was letting them know, and the crowd was going pretty rogue. But I mean, look, you just got to love the audience and all the storyline today and the drama and the rivalries between teams and players and everything is just so fun to watch right now. And the new players that are coming in have got their own personalities. It's really great to see. It feels like the good old days yet again in their own weird way. But I mean, look at this, right? Awakening up one of the worst series you're really ever going to see from him. But Dashy with a 1.5, Shotzzy with a 1.15. I mean, those numbers you're not going to lose if you're OpTic. Yes, they lost the surge, but they dominated in all of the respawns that series. And of course, next up was FaZe. A FaZe where this is the ideal time to play FaZe. In front of your home crowds, they just got dropped down from the winner's bracket, and their respawn has been a bit sketchy, and they just lost their search and destroy streak. So if there's one time to play them, now was the time. And OpTic delivered on that, right? They destroyed them game one again. Fortress, I mean, we saw what they did to Pred and of course Seattle Surge on this very map, where Pred and Seattle Surge have been so good on it. They beat them on that to knock them out of the tourney, and now they play FaZe on it and destroy them game one. Chuck them in the 100-point club again. And then game two, though, FaZe did bounce back in the search and destroy, right? So, still FaZe in search. Just because they lost one doesn't mean they're going to fully collapse in search and destroy. But again, it's FaZe and the respawns where the problems arrive. And they go into the control here, and on a hotel control, it's OpTic that get the job done again. Yes, some of the FaZe guys are making some crazy plays, but OpTic just had enough in the tank. They win the game 3, they take it to a game 4, and they win the game 4 as well. Huke was making big plays actually in this round 4 here in the control to get them over the line in the map, and that set them up for a great result here. If it had gone game 5, could have been a very different story, but they do get over the line. And during this whole exchange, we got the Dynasty reunion. So much happening today because we got on the desk here, we got Scump, we got Formal, Karma, and Crimsix all there together again. Obviously, there was some questions earlier in the day. Would it happen? Would it not happen? But it did happen. Obviously, Envoy was there for the show as well, and Formal was giving Shotzzy some crazy gas about. Like, basically, he reckons he's one of the best COD players he's ever seen when he's on form, and you can't blame him after that series. Very clear evidence today as to exactly why it's Shotzzy and Dashy, the two guys that are OpTic are building around going forwards. And even at this time, the numbers across the league are insane. 300k for Modern Warfare 2. Scump had about 155 at peak during this series. It got even higher than that for the grand finals. The Call of Duty League account as well was having crazy numbers, easily over 300k. So it was just remarkable to witness, actually, just for the benefit of Call of Duty. And it was Shotzzy that was making plays towards the end of this Mikado, a map where FaZe are good, but clearly as of late not quite good enough. And Shotzzy was just the absolute truth here. And yes, there were some snakes going on, but look, FaZe, you could argue, started it. Can't necessarily blame Shotzzy for abusing it, especially when it's Cellium that goes down as a result, one would argue. And then Shotzzy makes this play. They win the map, they win the series, take down FaZe, and we finally saw OpTic really getting hyped, right? A lot of their losers bracket run, they were quite reserved. They would, sit there and just fist bump each other and this type of stuff. But in this situation, they were getting hyped, they were showing the energy, and that's exactly what you expect when you beat a team like FaZe. A FaZe out of the tourney. Slasher says Modern Warfare 2 cycle was vicious, gotta be better. Another top 3 for FaZe, but running into that OpTic losers bracket run was going to be difficult for any team to stop, to be honest. And the overall numbers are like this. Huke had a bad series by his numbers, but wow, Shotzzy, 101 in 72, a 1.4 KD against FaZe, most damage, most impact by a mile. Like, when Shotzzy's playing like this, Formal is absolutely right. It's also got to be said, right, that, with Formal in the building, Slasher, maybe he folded a little bit, right? And we know that well, Formal has said for many years that if you want to beat Slasher, you need Formal, and that's kind of been his thing, and he turned up to the venue to watch the guys play, and all of a sudden, Slasher loses both of his matches he plays, and is straight out of the tournament. And here we go then into the grand finals. I told you guys today, someone sent me the script this morning, and I called it to perfection, pretty much. It's like game 7, but it turned out to be game 6, but man, what a grand finals this was. A crazy tournament from start to finish here. OpTic will feel gutted they failed to get over the line in this one. We're going to dive into things. Of course, great drama already, because Scrappy had made his point clear a couple of weeks ago now on his thoughts on Shotzzy, and, you know, can't just use the movement all the time. You've got to actually get some kills at some point. So obviously already pretty spicy, but the last time OpTic made a final was at their home major pretty much a year ago in Texas, where they won the entire thing. So the expectations were there. OpTic were on fire, but I think it happens so often. A team makes a loser's run, they get to the finals, and they just run out of a bit of steam. It's happened so many times. I mean, the tournament I was talking about just not that long ago, when Splice made that crazy run, they beat Rise in dominant fashion. They then matched up with LG, did the same to them for a couple of maps, and then fell short and lost the championship at that particular event. It happens again and again. Now, firstly, there was some great drama here, because Crimsix introduced the Ultra guys to the stage. He forgot what Insight was even called. It was hilarious. Scump introduced the OpTic guys. So it was just like fantastic content, honestly. Like the entire community coming together for this one, having Crim and Formal and Karma and all these old personalities, even Bose, of course, and Methods and all these guys on the watch parties. Just absolutely fantastic stuff. But then game 1 struck, and Hicksy and co won the game 1. And this is where Hicksy came up with the shush. And honestly, listening to Ultra's comms, we know that Thieves' comms are good, but Ultra's comms were making me brick up. I'm not going to lie. Like, they're absolutely phenomenal. The small talk, the communication, the way that Hicksy was kind of commanding things was absolutely beautiful to listen to, and how calm they all were as well, even as the series progressed here. So Hicksy was making his thoughts known to the crowd, right? Because there's no surprise of what it's going to be like in Texas in front of the green wall, but this did remind many of the aBeZy moment, right, where he put his hand up to his ear when it was Major 1 last time out in the winners final that time. Many thought, is this going to come back to bite Hicksy? And it looked like it might do after the game 2. It was weird, right, because OpTic lost the hard points, but they were winning the search and destroys in a manner that I thought, honestly, it would be the other way around, if anything, based on the evidence we saw so far in the tourney. But Toronto's team up was next level, and there were a good few moments in this series. There was one critical one in game 5, where OpTic pretty much threw away their chance to win this series, I felt. But they won the control as well, a phenomenal control. This is arguably Ultra's best map in the game. This is Hotel Control. OpTic win it 3-2. Huge momentum switcher for them, but then they lose their subsequent Hydro hardpoint, a map they're rather good at, right? So they lose the Hydro hardpoints, they go to another game 5, and this is where OpTic's series fell apart. And look, OpTic did so well this entire tourney. I don't want to take anything away from them. Their losers run was incredible. In front of the crowd, the teams they beat to make it to this point were incredibly impressive, but they faced Ultra in the grand finals, tied at 2-2, playing Hotel Search and Destroy, up 4-1. This goes 4-2 in a round that, okay, maybe they should have won it, maybe they shouldn't, but still, 4-2, no problem at all. It was the 4-4 round that really made the difference here, right? And as Parasite says, OpTic trolled hard, because this round, I'm sure they're going to look back and think it's pretty much unforgivable, the way this one fell out of their, well, fell through their fingers, I suppose. So Huke gets 1 kill, then he goes for this monster chow. I don't really know why. If he'd have just backed up, they're probably okay. Ghosty gets 1, left in a 1v1, and then Hicksy is weak here, right? But all Ghosty's really got to do is hold the head glitch, do a bit of snaking, and he's got, what, a 75-80% chance to win. He goes and Charles Hicksy. Maybe he's got a 60% chance to win this, but Hicksy is in, he could be in 2 spots. He could either be high or be low, and all Ghosty has to do is defend the bomb site here, and Hicksy goes and gets the kill, gets the defuse, and because he's laying down in this screenshot here, and Ghosty goes and Charles and dies. Like, that was just so unnecessary for OpTic, and that was the crucial round, right? Hicksy wins that one, super icy from him, and then a round 11 where OpTic just haven't had the round 11 ice really this entire season. They lose the round 11, they go down 3-2, and in the end they had a great shot of trying to win this final control. They brought it back from 0-2 to 2-2, but winning a couple of offenses on aBeZy, not going to happen, and Toronto Ultra win their first tournament together as a new team. Standy gets dropped, does that tweet about, oh, you guys miss me, and guess what happens after that? What a showing, honestly, for, well, firstly, European Call of Duty. I've got to say, it's a good day to be a European Call of Duty fan, but also for Scrappy as well, TacticalRab, whatever you want to call him. Like, yeah, for him to get his first win and for Hicksy to be the man to break the duck of 12 years in a row of no player ever winning their first professional LAN since Scump did it himself with Bobby 12 years ago. Hicksy to be that guy for Ultra is incredible stuff. For so many reasons, a myriad of storylines we're going to have to dive into here, I'm sure, over the coming days. And it was Scrappy awarded the MVP, and for good reason. This guy was out of control all tournament long, and certainly in the grand finals as well with these numbers. So, as I say, so much to discuss over the coming days. What a tournament. tournament, won an event. OpTic made the finals. They lost this time, but they're back there in top 4 Championship Sunday consistently, and things to work on for them going forwards, but an awful lot of progress they seemingly made with the levels they hit. But Toronto just too strong at the end of the day, shutting down all the onliner accusations. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I will see you next time.